You're listening to Fee's podcast.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm 𝙁𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, fourth year representative of FEE's organization, and I'm with
Cyrus Iberano, the Public Relations Officer of Peace Organization, and we welcome you to the fourth episode of Peace Podcast. Peace X STO rises through their way to work to practice teaching.
Welcome to FEE's podcast. Last January 3, the FEE's organization launched the third episode of FEE's podcast. Hosted by Ms. 𝙁𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, the third-year representative of FEE's, together with the guests, who are the selected English major students from first year to fourth year, they look back at the meaningful events that happened during the first semester of the academic year 2022 to 2023.
The third episode, entitled Semester Wrap-Up, it talks about the highlights of our first semester. They discuss the adjustment that the guests went through as they transitioned from online classes to face-to-face classes, their problem encountered, as well as their memorable experience this first semester. If you haven't watched it yet, you can always check it in our Facebook page, Future Educator of English Society, and in our Spotify and YouTube, Peace Talks.
January is just the beginning of the year 2023, and yet we already have lots of fun and memorable experiences. The second semester of the academic year 2022-2023 officially began on January 9, and just a week after that, the most anticipated event in the College of Education, which is the 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 Week, took place from January 18 to January 20 here at the University of Rizal System, Pililla Campus. This event wouldn't be possible without the hard work of the College of Education Student Council and the 𝙀𝙀 sub-organization, who worked together in making the 𝙀𝙀 Week a successful event. So, on behalf of the FEE's organization and all the 𝙀𝙀 students, we would like to acknowledge and congratulate the people behind the success of the 𝙀𝙀 Week. So, Sir Renz, the 𝙀𝙀 Week was full of many fun booths and lots of activities, right?
Yes, Ma'am Ipor, there are a lots of activities to do and lots of booths to explore.
Now, can you tell us your favorite event during the 𝙀𝙀 Week, and can you share something about your experience in handling our booth, the FEE's organization's booth, which is the word prison?
I'll be more than glad to share my experience. This year's 𝙀𝙀 Week is such a memorable experience, especially for us fourth year students, since it is our last 𝙀𝙀 Week as students. I was so glad to experience it in person after 2 years of not having it in person due to the pandemic. The activities prepared by the committees were so dynamic. There are activities that test the cognitive abilities of students like word factory, Scrabble, and chess. There are activities that measure the physical abilities of students such as badminton, volleyball, and basketball. And my experience about our booth, which is a word prison, it has a great experience to me, since our organization wants to have a very interactive when it comes to our cognitive and intelligence. Our organization create a prison. If you are being arrested, you will choose one number from 1 to 50, and the arrested students, they need to spell it, and they have 3 chances to spell it correctly. And that's why our booth called Word Prison. How about you, Ma'am Ipor? What's your favorite event?
Well, first, with regards to our booth, the word prison, I definitely enjoyed working on it. Especially, I get to interact with all of the education students from first year to fourth year. And it was a great experience, and I also had fun working with all of the officers of FEE's organization. So it was a fun and memorable experience. With regards to my most favorite event during the 𝙀𝙀 Week, well, it is hard to pick only one, knowing that all of the activities were great. But I think the activity that really stood out for me was the Mr. and Miss 𝙀𝙀 Week, because it is so different from other school pageants that I've seen before. And this pageant embodies the true essence of being an education student. And I really like how they were able to incorporate the teacher's attire or the different teacher's uniform in the creative wear of the participants. And I commend how they showed us in the pageant a glimpse of how the teacher handles and teaches the class.
I definitely agree with you, ma'am. Now, moving on to another highlight of our January, especially for the fourth year students, is the pinning ceremony held on January 27, 2023. It is the first ceremony, a pinning ceremony after the pandemic, and it is the first pinning to which the parents of the fourth year education students are invited. Congratulations to us fourth year students.
Yes, congratulations, fellow fourth-year students, and also congratulations to the Student Teacher Organization, STO, as well as the working committees who made this pinning ceremony possible and successful.
Speaking of student teachers, Ma'am Iper, how are you feeling now that we are about to begin our student teaching journey?
Well, honestly speaking, I feel nervous, knowing that this time around, I'll be teaching the students myself. I'll be handling their English subject for a specific amount of time. And just by thinking about the endless possibilities that might happen when I start my practice teaching journey makes me really nervous. But more than the feeling of nervousness, there's this feeling of fulfillment and excitement that finally I'm in this part of my college life in which I get to experience what it's like to be a student teacher. How about you, Sir Renz? What do you feel now that we're finally a student teacher?
Actually, Ma'am Iper, I am both excited and anxious. Excited to meet my students in person and share the knowledge that I gathered from our observation to our assigned school. These are the things that I will bring to our internship. And anxious since I will be now teaching my pupils on my own. This is a nerve-wracking, but I also worry that they may not learn anything from me. More what-if scenarios keeps playing in my thoughts. But let's see what the future holds for me. By the way, let us not prolong this any longer and let us hear how our fellow fourth-year education students are gearing up for the most awaited practice teaching.
Yes, definitely. Without further ado, let us welcome our guests for today's episode. Our dedicated, hardworking, and talented student teachers from College of Education. Welcome, Ma'am and Sir.
Welcome everyone. Can you please introduce yourself to our dearest viewers and listeners? Your name, your course, and your position in STO. Let's start with Sir Verdan, Ma'am Custodio, and Ma'am Mauricio.
So, hello everyone. I'm Erin Marlo Emberdan from PEN 4AN. I am the escort of STO officers.
Good day everyone, I am Camille Margaret O. Custodio from BSc English. I am the treasurer of STO.
Hello everyone, I am Mariel M. Mauricio from BSc Social Studies 40 and I am the secretary of STO.
I just want to ask you, how was your experience in our pinning ceremony? Let's start with Ma'am Custodio.
Being the behind the scene of the preparation for making that possible, being one of those people, is really, what should I say? It's really nerve-wracking because we have to be early on that day so that we can still polish everything so that everything will be successful indeed. And of course, after that, hearing feedbacks from our co-students, from the parents to the professors, it's really heartwarming.
How about you, Sir Ariel?
Ako naman, parang halong-halong emosyon yung nararamdaman ko kasi nga nandun na tayo sa point na pinning ceremony natin. Pagtapos ito na yung deployment natin. Kasi as a STO officer, parang naging saksi tayo simula sa preparation hanggang sa pagkatapos ng program. Kaya ayun, halo-halong emosyon yung naramdaman ko.
How about you, Ma'am Mauricio? How are you feeling that you're finally going to start your teaching internship?
I am excited na mag-start na yung teaching internship kasi yun yung pinagtrabahuhan natin for 4 years. So, I am excited. Mas excited ako kaysa mas kinakabahan. So, ganun yung feeling kasi, ayun nga, finally, malapit na tayo sa exciting part.
Yes, definitely. We're all excited. So, for our first question, Sir Renz,
Now that we are finally a student teachers, how are you all preparing for our practice teaching journey? Let's start with Ma'am Custodio.
I think kasi preparation comes in many forms, and it's not enough that you are only financially capable or financially ready. Some student teachers can be cognitive ready, but as for me, I also think of ways on the materials that I should prepare for my internship. It is essential that we have the materials because it's been so long since we've been in the school back then. So I think it's important that we future teachers we have the materials that we can use during our internship. And also, since I'm an English major, one of the things that I do now or these days is to practice my communication skills more so that I will be used to whenever I'm now deployed in the field. So it's important that you do it on a regular basis so that speaking in English will not be a hindrance for you to express or to use on a day-to-day basis, especially that we are now into applying all those learnings that we've learned in the past 4 years.
Yes, definitely, Ma'am Custodio. It is as an English major, it is for our preparation, we need to be more cautious in our speaking and our how we communicate to our students.
yes, it is important for us to practice every day so we will be used in speaking English. So, how about you, Sir Berdan? What are your preparations before our deployment in our respective schools?
So ako naman, ang paghahandang ginagawa ko bago tayo ma-deploy, syempre, hindi lang yung sarili ko, kundi yung isip ko na rin, yung mental o yung pag-iisip ko yun. Kasi kumbaga sa isang bundok, nandito na tayo, malapit na tayo sa pinakang peak na mararating natin. Kaya kailangan hindi lang sarili mo yung hinahanda mo. Isa na rito yung time management, kung paano ka ma-manage ng time mo o paano mo paglalaanan ng oras yung mga bagay na dapat mong gawin. Ganun na rin ay yung, since na teachers kami, mas pinaghahandaan din namin pagpasensya namin dahil ang mga hawakan namin ay yung mga bata.
Well, same with your preparations. I also try to prepare myself mentally and I constantly remind myself that I am good and with my hard work, I can do better and I can perform better in the school which I'm going to be assigned to. How about you, Ma'am Mauricio? Do you have any special preparations for our upcoming deployment?
To be honest, I just slept a lot. Tulog lang. Natulog lang ako kasi in-enjoy ko muna yung pahinga ngayon kasi alam ko sa mga susunod na araw baka wala na tayong tulog or baka magkulang na tayo sa pahinga. So these days, habang wala pa yung internship, habang di pa tayo na-deploy, in-enjoy ko muna yung pahinga.
Yes, thank you,
I
Ma'am.
prepare myself physically and mentally because it is our start to be a real teachers. And also, I prepare myself in some possibilities that I will encounter during our practice teaching. Let's go now to our second question. During our first semester, we are first deployed to observe the real situation within the classroom, the student behavior as well as the teacher's strategies in teaching and handling the class. Now that we are going to be deployed as the student teachers, what are your expectations with your cooperating school, teachers, and with your students?
For me, I expect to have a good working environment at school. As much as possible, I really want to enjoy my stay sa aking operating school. I also expect that my cooperating teacher will be strict. I want to have a strict cooperating teacher so that I can learn more from her. And with regards to my future students, nag-expect rin ako na medyo magulo yung mga bata since nung field study ay talagang na-observe ko na yung mga teenagers ay may nature na ganun. So, hinahanda ko yung sarili ko sa mga ganong aspect ng mga teenagers para hindi na ako mahirapang mag-adjust pa pagka nandun na ako sa field. So, ina-expect ko rin na maging collaborative at makipag-cooperate sa akin yung mga estudyante. Ayun lang naman.
As for me, I think it is a perk to be deployed on the same school that I observe during the FS1 and 2 and now for the internship. So it is my expectation with the school is to have more sense of familiarity in the school, in the personnel, in the staff. Now with the teachers, I expect that more interaction. I want to hear more feedback and suggestions, especially from my cooperating teachers, so that I will know where to improve, how can I use more my strengths, and take advantage of it. Now with the students, last time kasi I was assigned to grade 10 students na I don't know yet for the internship, but then I'm expecting their maximum participation, active participation, and also since the subject is English and some students may find it hard to communicate in English, I think it's a challenge for me on how can I solicit, encourage them to answer or express themselves in English. So that's it.
That's good to hear, Ma'am Custodio. Let's now go with Sir Berdan.
So, yung mga expectations ko dito sa ating nalalapit na deployment or sa ating OJT ay marami. Kasi, una, simulan natin sa mas matututo or mas mauubos yung pagiging guro ko doon ng mas maayos. At saka, ini-expect ko rin na maganda yung kalalabasan dahil simula pa lang nung ating observation, maganda na yung nasasabi sa amin ng mga cooperating teachers natin. Then, also, parang halong pressure kasi at excitement yung yung nangyayari. Kumbaga, ang unang-unang ina-expect ko dito ay magiging matagumpay tayo lahat dito. Hindi lang ako, kundi tayong lahat dito. At sama-sama tayong gagraduate yun. Yun lang ina-expect ko. Wala na.
Yes, well, definitely. Well, I'd like to share my expectations too. Well, since I'm going to be deployed in a different school, I'm expecting that it won't be easy. There's going to be a period of adjustment, but I will really try to do my best to adjust quickly so I can perform better, and I'm expecting that it is going to be a fun and memorable journey. For our last question, from all of the teaching principles and teaching strategies that we've discussed in our Gen Ed subjects, can you give one teaching principle or strategy that you'll really incorporate in teaching your future students? Let's start with Ma'am Custodio.
Speaking of teaching principles or strategies, I think I'd like to be the teacher who recognize the individual differences of the students, because diversity cannot be separated inside the classroom, or di siya mawawala eh. So it is important as a teacher that we know how to address the diversity, we know well the students, so that we can learn from this diversity or differences as to how we can enable the students in their maximum potentials and their skills that they can learn better.
How about you, Sir Verdan?
Ako naman, yung parang naisip kong teaching principle is yung adaptive teaching, kung saan dito malalaman mo yung weakness or kung saan mahina yung estudyante mo, kung saan ba siya malakas. Kumbaga, kasi parang dito malalaman kasi natin kung hanggang saan ba talaga yung makakaya niya. Kaya dapat dun malaman din natin bilang teacher o maintindihan natin kung hanggang saan ba talaga yung naiintindihan ng ating estudyante sa mga tinuturo. Kasi, halimbawa, isang scenario, may mga pinapagawa ka sa mga estudyante mo na hindi pala nakaka-cope up yung estudyante mo. Kumbaga, nahihiya lang siya magsabi sa'yo. Kaya bilang teacher, ikaw na yung mismo yung gagawa ng way para ma-discover mo yung mga kahinaan mo or nila.
Yes, well, it's like feedbacking. Well, for me, if I'm going to incorporate a teaching strategy, I'll try to incorporate feedbacking because it is important for students to know if they're doing good and if they're committing mistakes. And it is important for us teacher to explain to them why they are wrong so they'll be able to understand and correct themselves in the future. How about you, Ma'am Mauricio? What strategy are you going to utilize po?
I think I will utilize learner-centered principle. Feeling ko kasi mas better yun gamitin nowadays since it has more strategic and it will engage students and will help them to develop their abilities. I also believe that this teaching principle will help the students to develop skills such as decision-making, teamwork, and presentation skills na magagamit nila sa kanilang future labor or work. Since high school nga ang tuturuan natin, so kailangan iharap natin sila to senior high school which is more demanding and yan.
Yes, definitely. It is important for students to learn on their own too and not just be spoon-fed all the time. Well, unfortunately, that's all of the time that we have for today. And this has been an amazing episode and we hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yes. Do you have any parting words, everyone? Is there anything you want to say? Let's start with Ma'am Custodio.
Anything that I want to say, well,
Yes.
thank you for having us here. And I am rooting for every one of us to have a successful journey of internship. That's all.
How about you, Sir Berdan?
Ako naman sobrang saya ko kasi parang sa lahat ng B.Ed parang isa ko sa mga maswerteng nakaranas ng ganito. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. How about you, Ma'am Mauricio?
Masaya din and excited talaga ako dito sa sa event na to kasi nakikinig ako ng podcast nyo. So natutuwa ako na na-invite nyo ako and isa tong pribilehiyo para sa akin. So nirurut ko na sana lahat tayo magkaroon ng successful internship. Yun lang naman. Thank you po.
Yes, thank you for watching our podcast. Before we end this podcast, I just want to congratulate all the fourth-year students for reaching this goal, which is the practice teaching. I hope that we successfully finish our practice teaching.
Yes, thank you everyone. Thank you for being with us today. And congratulations to us fourth-year students. And I know and I believe that we'll all have a successful teaching internship.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's been an honor to have you here in our podcast. And also, it has been an honor to be your podcaster in this episode. This has been Ren Cyrus Ibarano, the public relation officer of Peace Organization.
And I'm Joyce Ifer P. Bonifacio, fourth-year representative of Peace, and we'll see you on our next episode.